the three things: stop stealing from your family, earn what you're worth, and build a business that serves you. And I see those themes like all over your content. Can you talk a little bit about why you chose those three pillars? I would call them pillars for,
Hmm.
for the focal point of your business.
Yeah, because I did the opposite of all those things for many years, and I would like most of the people listening to this, working hard probably isn't your problem, right? You're working hard, you're getting up every day, you're grinding, and if you don't have some key concepts in place, like we talked about, how you think, I'll start with earn what you're worth. Like, I did a podcast many years ago. It said, just because you're a contractor doesn't mean that you only work in gated communities. How about living in one? You're adding value to the world. You have a family, and your employees and their families and this and that are counting on you to show up every day with the confidence that, yeah, we're going to get ours. And that's not, a lot of people hear that and they think it's a selfish thing, but one of our key things here in the fight is you got to get oxygen first. If I don't have oxygen, I'm not as good for everybody else. And so I think when you're not there with how you decide to show up and think and how you view yourself, like, I'm worth, I could ask this question right now to an audience and go, what are you worth? And everybody, there are 100 people in the room, there'll be 100 different answers. And chances are that you're worth, throw a couple more zeros on whatever number you said. Just because you're a plumber or a remodeler or whatever it is, I think the world, the society as a whole, I'm 53. As long as I can remember, it's been sending this message that contractors are less than. Contractors are they're not reliable. They're not going to show up. They're not going to communicate well. They're going to rip you off. They're going to nickel and dime you, and that's so far from the truth of the average contractor. In any industry, there's the bad apples, right? But so, and I think we, if we're not careful, we allow prospects to beat us up. I mean, I remember back in the day having people print my contract off and they would put all these changes on it and fax it back to us, and I'm like, you don't get to do that, what? Because we're a painting company here at the time we were. And so because we don't put in the work like we do to learn our trade and to learn how to run a business, we let people walk all over us and we don't earn what we're worth. We don't earn at least the value that we're delivering. And so, in many years, and what that does is it causes you to steal from your family. I mean, there were periods where it'd be a decade before I took my family on a vacation because I wasn't earning enough money. Everyone was getting paid but me, and that's not fair. And, I remember taking the family vacation we were able to take. I couldn't afford ice cream for the whole family because I was afraid my debit card wouldn't work. And so that's just a real crappy feeling, man. When you ever go to the restaurant and you look at what you want on the left side of the menu, and then you look on the right side of what it costs. I spent too many years ordering from the right side of the menu instead of the left side of the menu, and I just think people need a voice to, like you're doing, what we're doing, like, man, you're worth this and you're adding value. And there's a lot of risks in the trades, and, time, money, property, your health. You only have so many years in your body to do things. And so that's really, the heart of where those pillars come from is, get oxygen, get yours. And that's okay. We always talk about success starts at home, and it's an inside out game, right? I work on me. I give my best to the people in my household. And then from there, the next ring is the fight team. And then from there, it's building the business. It's our, empire, if you want to call it that, right? So, and a lot of times we have it flipped, and we end up just being a servant to this business, and we neglect all the things on the inner part of that circle. And everyone's heard this, through the years, but we just, I think, I know for many years I was like, well, I have to do this, and I have to do these things this way, and I have to care about what the going rate is, what others are charging, and all these other, and that's just garbage. No, you got to do you. You focus on you. I like to say, mind your business, right? Don't worry
Right.
about my business. You worry about your business.
Right.
And I don't care what my competitors are charging, because I know what it takes to get oxygen here. And when I say oxygen, I don't mean guys like just getting by. I mean, the purpose of a business in any realm, any industry, is to make a profit. And it's to make a really good profit so that you can reinvest back into your people. You can give them a future, give them a career. I think this is also why, you know, in the trades, it's been tough for people to build their teams and to recruit people into the trades because they're looking at the people that they know in the trades. Like me, I love my dad but he was a tile guy and my uncle's a painting contractor. I love him to death. And I'd say with the exception of my uncle, damn near every contractor I ever looked at didn't have a life that I wanted. So I'm like, why would I go into that?
Right.
They're tired, they're broke. We always lived on this side of the tracks, and the people with the money lived on that side of the tracks growing up. So you don't hear anything today, guys. Just commit to getting yours and understand it's not selfish. You have to get yours. And we're so concerned with being fair to our customers, and yet we screw our families over in a heartbeat. And that's like running out and doing bids at like 8 o'clock at night or on a Sunday or whatever it is. And I need you to break this down 17 ways and revise your proposal for us because we're going to compare it to the other 14 estimates we got. I mean, no, we're not playing that game. We just don't do things that way. And so we're really trying to create a new standard in the contracting world that, it's elite men and women that know their shit. And this is our process and this is how we roll. And if you don't like it, go hire somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so yeah, I could fire up on that all day. So
Yeah. Yeah, and I totally see that. I totally see the both sides of that. Where a contractor starts, or even me, like started my business 10 years ago, and just kind of like, hey, doing whatever for whoever wants to give you money, not even knowing what profit is, just trying to, charge as much as you can kind of think you can get away with, and then you kind of mature as a business owner, and you understand profit, and you understand how to position yourself, and that the customer's not always right, and things like that. But I know that's a journey. So like,
yeah.
maybe this is skipping ahead a little bit, but when a contractor, is listening to this and maybe they end up joining one of your programs or your Facebook group or whatever it might
Mm-hmm.
be, like that might seem overwhelming to go from like, that point A to point B. So is there like a progression? Is it mindset first? Is there certain systems to get in place first? I know you talk a lot about your podcast content, like doubling your prices, raising your prices, not being
Yeah.
scared. Like, where does someone start with that? Like, all right, I get it, but
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I do need to go out on that estimate 8 o'clock tonight. I feel like I do need to sharpen my pencil when the customer asks for that because I've got bills to pay. I got a family to feed. Like, where do
Yeah.
I start with that?
Yeah, and before I answer that, let me piggyback on what I just said. Most of the issues that a contractor has, most of the issues you have and I have are friendly fire. Okay, like we hose ourselves. So if you're not making money as a contractor, look in the mirror. You got to own your crap first. And so now I'll answer your question. Like all the progress that you want and the success you want starts with you looking in the mirror and telling yourself the truth, right? Like where am I getting in the way of our success? And so that's why we always start with the mental game. And I'm not talking the mental game like I'm just going to will things into my life, right? You got to put in the work and stuff, but like just be real. Like if you're going to charge premium prices, then you better look the part, right? You know this. Your marketing sends a message. The way you answer the phone sends a message. All these things send a message. So a lot of the pushback that guys are getting. In fact, I just recorded a video the other day. Why? What do we call it? It's not up yet. Why customers f with you? Okay, why they don't want to pay you at the end? Why they blue tape the crap out of the project at the end? Right? Why they nickel and dime you? Why they they want you to break the bid down 40 ways from Sunday and all this other stuff. It's because they don't trust you. And they don't trust you many times because of very preventable things, starting with just how are you choosing to show up? Are you showing up with confidence? Are you showing up with a desperate energy to you, which a lot of guys do? I mean, you're in marketing, you know this. I always tell people sell like you're independently wealthy and market like your next meal depends on it. Okay. And so a lot of these guys, they're right now we're getting into it. It's April as we're recording this, 2023. A lot of you guys listening to this, your phone's going to start ringing and you're going to think building your brand and marketing and all this stuff is like optional. And then you're going to wake up in November, December, January, February, and you're going to be crying poor, okay, and whining and griping about how, you don't have enough money saved or you don't have enough leads or whatever it is. And it's because you didn't own your crap and go, no, my number one job is to get eyeballs, period. And that's a mindset shift. So when I say mindset stuff, it's not just like, being mentally tough. It's going, if you the minute you hang your shingle on your company and open up your doors, you are no longer a craftsman first. Okay? You are a salesperson first. And you don't have sales if you don't have leads. And so this is what I mean where we work on the mindset stuff. The have tos of I got to pay the bills and I have to go do this bid at 8 o'clock. Well, the mindset shift might be, would you just for 5 seconds maybe consider there's a different way of doing this other than stealing a night or a weekend from your family?
Right.
What if we could teach you a 15-minute conversation before you jumped in your truck and wasted 2 hours or 3 hours of your life and then coming home and pecking away at your computer and then negotiating against yourself for 3 hours before you send the bid at night, And so if I could show you in 15 minutes, 20 minutes on a phone call with a prospect, let's figure out if we're a good fit. Let's talk about your motive, what's important to you. Let's talk some rough budget numbers and some things like that. And that's better for the customer too, or the prospect, because they don't want to waste time with somebody who's not a good fit. If they got a $4,000 budget and you have a $40,000 solution, that's not a fit. So why would we bother going out there? And so yeah, everything starts with that mindset of, if you want different results, you got to start thinking and acting a different way. And that's where everything starts. And then from there, we move typically, across the board, we go to confidence in numbers, what it really means to know your numbers. What's your break-even point? Dude, when I do this live audiences and stuff, it's funny to see the looks on their face. But if, you got a contractor that's got a $35,000 a month overhead and he's producing work at 35% gross profit, he's got to deposit $100,000 a year or a month just to break even at zero to have the money left to pay the $35,000 overhead each month. Okay. And if your average job size $5,000 or whatever, it's 20 jobs, or you could do the math, right? So we help people really, you break that $100,000 down into how many working days in the month. So there's 22 working days in the month. You got to be signing depositing on average $4,500 a day into your bank account. And so we're really big on don't mess with the money, ring the cash register daily. One of our big mantras with knowing your numbers, and we get so much pushback from contractors because their mindset's jacked up and they think the going rate matters and the going rate doesn't matter, is, we encourage guys to get a 50% gross profit. It cost me $5,000 to produce the job, sell it for at least 10. So that $35,000 produced at 50%, sold and produced, now I only have to deposit $70,000 a month to break even. So if I deposit 100 and produce it at 50, I'm going to have what, 20, what was it? 35, $15,000 or whatever it is towards net profit. And now I'm building my own line of credit. I'm not desperate. I'm, not job to job and things like that. So that's the pillar one, is confidence in numbers. Number two, we move over to what we call sell unafraid. And, we teach people how to connect with their prospects in ways that their competitors never will, at an emotional level, where we position you to be the only option that they want to work with. And if they don't, then they opt themselves out in a very friendly way. And then pillar three is all about getting eyeballs. Let's make sure that we're continually prospecting, getting the right eyeballs, the qualified leads, dialing in your ideal client, all the things I know that you do for people. I don't know about you, but when I know I have 100 leads to follow up, it's much easier to sell unafraid. It's much easier to stick to my pricing. But if I got 3 leads, then I start becoming a chicken about it. And so, yeah, everything's kind of rooted in those 3 things. And then, there's ancillary stuff off of that. But that's really the core of what we do in the fight.